Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I'd be able to send videos of watches like this to your inbox as soon as tomorrow morning. If you like this watch, you can purchase it on thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches 24 hours a day and globally on thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing one of the coolest pure utility style watches I've ever experienced. You want manufacturer watchmaking, you want tool watch purity, you want virtuosity in design and ergonomics, you want a timepiece that does more than you expect, under promises and over delivers. Well, the circa 2011 to present Sinn EZM10 Einsatzzeitmesser definitely delivers. A pilot's chronograph in tegimented titanium. It has a remarkable degree of scratch resistance and ergonomic comfort, as well as a functional logic that is a virtuoso performance, even for a company known for this type of watch. So let's start with the basics. The watch came out in 2011 and remains in production. In the years prior to Sinn in-house calibers, the movement in this watch represented something fairly close to an in-house caliber by Sinn, a monstrously mutated Valjoux 7750. We're going to talk about why that's important. But the watch has clever design features throughout that are simply a delight to unpack and discover. The first is the ergonomics. The timepiece is large. No doubt, 46.5 millimeters in diameter. That's not including the crown, but it doesn't wear that large, even though it is also quite thick at 15.6 millimeters. It's the lug-to-lug as well as the shape of the lugs that makes this one easier to bear. 53.2 millimeters lug-to-lug, that's going to be right about where you'd find a titanium Panerai Luminor in a standard 44 millimeter case. So if you can wear that, you can wear this. I would also say that on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, the look is big, but the fit is secure and comfortable. So if you're okay with the look of a pure utility timepiece that's large and in charge so you can see it rather than for the sake of fashion, you're going to agree with the look and easily agree with the fit of this Sinn. Now you will note that the lugs are rather short and sharply downturned. That's part of the ergonomic logic of the watch. You'll also note that the strap moves unconstrained. You can pull it straight down around the curve of a small wrist. It is a very substantial strap. Folded construction, calfskin, aviator's fashion with a sharp contrasting orange stitch. I love orange watches, and regular viewers will know that, so I approve. Nicely bolstered, it's handsome and thoughtfully designed in its own right with a matching Sinn branded satin finished buckle. I should clarify, this is a sort of blasted satin, not a grained satin. And the same treatment is in evidence on the case. You can see the underside of the strap, also calfskin on both sides, a Sinn factory strap. The case is what's known as tegimented steel, titanium I should say. Sinn started with tegimented steel. Tegimented titanium came many years later. Essentially what it is a face hardening of the material, like face hardened armor on a battleship during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. It's metal that's been treated on its surface to be particularly resilient to marks, effectively indelible. I've seen some of these watches with warranty cards executed as far back as 2011. I've never seen a dent on these and nary a scratch. So in practice, it seems that the claims of virtual scratch-free surfacing are backed up by practice. You can see there's a copper sulfate capsule that's inserted into the flank of the case. This is a replaceable service item, and I'll get a little bit closer now that the watch is off the wrist. But this is a replaceable Sinn service item that is designed to actively dehumidify the inside of the case. Most watches feature clean room conditions where they're assembled and ultimately evacuated of moisture prior to delivery. Sinn alone uses a dehumidifying agent to give its watch active dehumidification ability, so it can actually remove moisture from its interior. You'll note that the bezel is held on by screws, Breitling style. This is a captured bezel, meaning it's not snapped on and it can't be easily snapped off. So if you do hit a drywall, a doorknob, or perhaps using the watch as intended, you're flailing around in the cockpit during an emergency, you won't be able to snap the bezel off by accident. It'll take your watchmaker a little longer to remove, but it is worth the extra peace of mind, security, and durability that comes with the captured design. You'll also note this is a bidirectional rotating bezel, and it features a sapphire cap, which is exquisite. Back in 2011, when this watch hit the market, ceramic bezels were not terribly common. Moreover, they remain less beautiful, even in 2018, than a sapphire cap, which is more scratch resistant than ceramic at the limit, over a fully luminescent bezel base. There will be a lume shot at the end of this video, and it will be sensational. Now, the watch bezel action is one of the crispest I've experienced in a bidirectional pilot style bezel. Most of these tend to be fairly slick, even a little bit gummy in their action in contrast to dive bezels. This is a pilot bezel that feels like it wants to be a dive bezel. Line it up with the minute hand, and now you've got an impromptu 60-minute timer. One element I will shout out is that whereas most chronographs only give you a 30 to 45-minute timing organ on their dial, this one actually gives you a radial aircraft-shaped 60-minute display. So you can line up the minute hand with the bezel and time something up to 60 minutes concurrently using the bezel and the chronograph simultaneously. The dial base is sensational. All matte black with high contrast printed indices. You will note that the indices themselves are giant blocks of lume, and this watch is sensational in the dark. You will also note that there are some graphics of uncertain etiology on this dial until you make sense of Sinn's acronyms, shorthands, and logos. So Sinn worked with Eurocopter and the University of Aachen in Germany to create the test-off standard for evaluating pilot's watches. Yes, there's a little bit of the fox guarding the henhouse here, but at the same time, not all Sinn watches actually earn that test-off logo, and it is a fairly demanding and publicly listed set of criteria whereby the watch has to meet standards of legibility, functionality, and durability. And again, like the COSC, it's in the open for you to read what the standards actually encompass, and it's fairly comprehensive. Perhaps more substantively and more quantifiably is this diapol notation, and you'll note that diapol is actually printed right next to SZ01 on the case back because the two are related. Diapol is a diamond-coated escapement pallet. So a standard escapement that has been diamond-coated, allowing it to operate without lubrication. Not only does this improve performance over time because lubricants don't turn to tar and gum up, but it also allows reduced frictional losses at all times because of the lack of oil on the escapement. So more efficient and lower maintenance requirements. That's what diapol is. Of course, splashes of color here. You can see the chronograph seconds, as well as, we may as well stop and reset things so you can see how this works. The radial minute indicator. About that radial minute indicator. That's not how a standard Valjoux 7750 is delivered, but Sinn has entirely re-engineered, finished, and regulated the 7750 automatic with a 46-hour power reserve and turned it into the SZ01, which boasts, among other refinements, the diapol escapement, the radial 60-minute display, and if you watch as the minutes progress, this is a semi-instantaneous jump radial 60-minute display rather than the 30-minute display that creeps and drags on the 7750. Now you get 200-meter water resistance, and you'll note this Unterdrucksieger nomenclature on the back, which means that the watch is both resistant to very high pressures down to 200 meters, but also vacuum and negative pressures, including prevention of the blowout of seals and crystals in the event you're in a cockpit that explosively decompresses. And now you'll be able to see the semi-instantaneous jump of this Sinn SZ01 semi-in-house caliber. Just like that, beautifully synced, no nonsense, and easy to read. The system operates at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It does feature hacking or stop seconds, as well as a quick set system for the date. All of the underlying virtues of the 7750, including its tank-tough and super efficient unidirectional winding system, are retained. And the pushers themselves are wonderfully integrated to the point that they are almost flush and incredibly unobtrusive. You want shear protection for your chronograph pushers? You got it. Sinn, not messing around with this watch, has counted it as something approaching the flagship of its signature pilot line since the first one bowed back in 2011. I'm in love with this thing, and I'm normally not into pilot's watches, and I'm normally not into oversized watches. This isn't an oversized watch, though. Right down to its 22mm standard lug spacing, this is an instrument designed to be versatile and functional above all else. Fashion takes a back seat, and I mean a back seat in a 747, not a back seat in the the car. This one is all about the way it moves, the way it works, and the way it'll serve you. This is a Swiss Army knife for your wrist. You can see it and make it yours on the watch box. Ah, the mighty Einsatzzeitmesser 10 by Knight. As you can see, the radial 60-minute hand is fully luminescent. You can see that little airplane, and the bezel itself an absolute supernova. There is one feature I didn't mention. By the light of my light box, you would have noted that there was a 24-hour dial at 3 o'clock on this watch. That is a 24-hour AM/PM night-day indicator that's keyed to the time at center. So regardless of where you're flying, even if it's the land of the eternal sun, the EZM10 will let you know whether you're looking at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. And frankly, you better dial back your NVGs if you're wearing this watch at night, because you're going to blow a retina. This is an absolute blazing dial and bezel. See it by the light of day on the watch box.